Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Town Hall was bustling well into the evening on Monday as several boards and committees simultaneously held meetings. Today we have the highlights of two Monday meetings, beginning with the Community Preservation Committee. The CPC heard a presentation from Scott Harvey. The Society had requested historical preservation funds from the CPC in order to finish off the renovations of the latest structure to be added to its portfolio of historical buildings, an old ice house that the Society plans to convert into a museum.
Our key building is our Doddridge Museum, which was built in 1808, and it's staffed by docents on the weekend. It serves as a museum depicting the architecture and life during the 1800s. It houses artifacts, furniture, clothing, and cooking utensils that are periodic specific. Next, we have the William Morris Fire Museum, and that's a separate self-guided museum depicting life in the towns during the 1800s. Its exhibits include pictures of homes, hotels. It has a mock doctor's office. It has a horse carriage, a sailing pram, a two-wheel bicycle, and a working pump fire engine, which we used in the town parade July 4th. And our grant is based on our third building, which is a gifted ice house, which we have determined is circa 1898 to 1901, and that is the crux of our grant. And this grant is to refurb the ice house to its original condition and make it a museum to complement our existing facilities. Through our research, we've identified 5 ice houses on the Upper Cape, 3 in Barnstable, all in Katuitt, and 2 in Falmouth. But 2 of the 3 have been altered. One has been converted to a cottage, and one has a second story added. And through our history, we know that ice houses were a large part of the Cape Cod landscape during the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Ice was used to preserve food, cool drinks, and make ice cream. And ice harvesting on New England ponds, lakes, and rivers used to be a big winter business, not only in Massachusetts, but all throughout New England. And the Katuitt ice was harvested on Eagle, Lewis, and No Bottom ponds. By restoring this ice house and converting this into a museum, it's consistent with our mission and the mission of the CPC and the Historical Commission. We will use it as an educational vehicle depicting life prior to the mechanical refrigeration in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and it complements our existing facilities. What we're requesting in funding are 2 things. One is to repair the exterior. The roof is gone, so the shingles need to be removed and replaced, and the sidewall also needs to be replaced, with the shingles replaced and lace corners being built. And up top, we want to put a block and pulley, which was used to pull the blocks of ice up a ramp into the building itself. And what we plan to do is stain the exterior to the existing white color, which it was. Now, once that is done and the exterior is finished, we want to turn the interior into an educational vehicle. We currently, if you take a look at that last page, we have a ice harvesting display which is in our current museum, which we plan to move into the ice house. We do have ice saws, ice picks, and ice tongs, which will move in. We want to develop 2 more displays which show how ice was stored and how it was delivered, again, using that panel display. We need to install track lighting, some power, and a smoke detector to make sure we don't have any issues. We want to show how it was actually used, so we're going to add wood chips to the floor, and we'll make a display of blocks of ice. We want to show how the insulation was done in an ice house where there were interior and exterior walls and a gap in between, so we'll cut in a gap so people can see through. And we want to get some additional harvesting tools such as scrapers, ice planes, a grapple, a break-off bar, and a caulking bar. So for a total, we're looking for the CPC, it's $10,500.
CPC Chairman Lindsay Council informed Mr. Harvey that the town's legal department advised against approving the funds for the new displays plan for the ice house, but the CPC did unanimously approve $8,000 to help the Historical Society fix up the historic building. Just across the hall in the Selectmen's Conference Room, the Citizens Advisory Committee was listening to a presentation by Dale Sod of the Department of Public Works on stormwater management. Here, Dale explains a few of the strategies the town has employed to prevent erosion from runoff and to reduce the amount of nitrogen contained in it before it hits our coastal waters.
Some of the things we are talking about is the disconnect of impervious areas. A lot of times people like dust, roof runoff, or anything from your pavement or anything like that. They just like to let it go right onto pavement and then basically down a driveway or parking lot, into a road, into a catch basin. Well, people keep on developing this land, and areas that a catch basin or a drainage system might have been able to handle at one time, now with people building and developing and pushing more water into the systems, we're finding out that some of our stormwater systems, it's not just the age of the system that's causing the failure, it's all the other material that's being pushed into it from other properties. The idea is now to try to break that disconnect. Here, they have it going over rock area that basically slows it down if it's a heavy flow so you don't get a lot of scarring, and then going into a planted garden. This is an area where we went in there and decided to try to do something for nutrient loading. When you look at Putnam Ave coming off of there, this is a very steep road, and it used to scour the road. And one of the things we had there was the famous bubble-up catch basin. From Putnam Ave, we actually had a catch basin that water would come up out of it and then flow down Old Shore Road, cut across the road, and go across the beach and actually scour out the beach. And then that beach section would be all mucky and muddy because of all that sediment. It was being scoured. It would go right down in this one beach area. What we've done is, up on the road, we put in an interceptor. It was actually what they call a vortex. It is, when stormwater comes into the system, it spins it around, and the trash and heavy materials actually collected in this one area. Then the water goes down in through a series of pipes and comes into the wetland pocket areas. Basically, this is just parking lots that allow the sediment the sediment and the water basically to flow onto a green area. One part, it's a green area, just, a grass going into a wetland area. In some areas, like the ones with the trees in the middle, that's actually depressed lower in the parking lot, and from the parking lot on both sides, it's getting into that. Now, you think that's the only thing in there is just these wet areas, but lots of times, because they're taking such a large volume of water at times, they'll have hidden in there catch basin areas that are slightly lifted above the green area, so that if the green area starts to fill up with water, it will overflow and go in and be piped to another area. Lots of times, we like it if they can be piped into another area. The big thing that we need help with, and that is getting people to get their mind in the gutter and getting pollution out. Basically, public education. Trying to get people to think about the things that they do that could be contaminating our waterways. Sounds easy, but may not be that easy. Just like the situation that we were talking about, the fertilizers. We're attacking, or trying to work with the golf courses, the commercial people. The municipality is trying to do its best. But often, we're overloaded by what the citizens are doing. And a lot of them, they like those green lawns. And if 1 pound of fertilizer is good, 2 pounds even better, no matter what the package says. So the idea is, how can we get this information out to people? It might not be so easy. I think the simplest way to do it is never dump anything on the ground into the street or a storm drain that you wouldn't want to drink or swim in.
If you'd like to learn more about what you can do to protect our water, there's lots of helpful info to be found on the town's website. Log on to town.barnstable.ma.us and click on the Our Water link on the left-hand side of the homepage. After a busy Monday night, there's just one meeting left on this week's schedule. The Conservation Commission meets tonight at 6:30 in the Selectmen's Conference Room. Well, that's all for now. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.